Okay, so today we're doing 4.1, which is writing equations in slope-intercept form. So a linear model is a linear function that models a real-life situation. We often use the equation y equals mx plus b for that equation. M represents your slope, and b represents your y-intercept. So if it asks you to write the equation of a line and it gives you the slope and the y-intercept, these should take you about 2 seconds to do. They should be very, very quick. You're just plugging your slope in for m and your y-intercept for 9. So we could write y is equal to 0x plus 9, which I could simplify to just y equals 9. Go ahead and try number 2 and number 3. Okay, so number 2, I would have y is equal to negative 1x plus 0, which I could simplify to just y equals negative x or just y equals negative 1x. Either one's okay. And number 3, y is equal to 2x minus 3. So if they give you the slope and the y-intercept, it should be very, very quick. If they give you the graph, you can find the slope and the y-intercept visually. So to find your slope, you're counting how far you're going up and then how far you're going over. So I'm going up 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going over 1. So that means my slope is 4 over 1, which is just 4. My y-intercept is the point right here where it crosses my y-axis, which would be at negative 1. So once I have m and I have b, I can write my equation. Y is equal to 4x minus 1. Now, one thing I want to caution you against is notice the direction of this line. It's slanted to the left. So it's higher on the left, lower on the right. Anytime it's slanted this way, it's a negative slope, and that's the most common mistake I see is that you forget to put the negative on the slope here and here. Okay, go ahead and try number 8 and number 9. So this one, for number 8, I'm counting up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 2. So my slope would be 4 over 2, which I can reduce to just 2. My y-intercept is at 0, so my final equation would just be y is equal to 2x. I can put the plus 0, but then it's not simplified. And the last one, I can count up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means my slope is 3/4. Be careful, this one's slanted in the negative direction, so it should be a negative 3/4. And my y-intercept is right here at 3. So y is equal to negative 3/4 x plus 3. When we get down to the next one, it says write an equation of a line that passes through the given points. So we can find slope using a formula. Our formula for slope, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Make sure you have that one written down. You will be using that quite a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to label my points as x1, y1, x2, y2. X is always first in the coordinate point, and then I just labeled them as 1 for point 1 and 2 for point 2. So to find my slope, I do y2 minus my y1 over x2 minus my x1, and I simplify it. So that'd give me negative 8 over negative 2, which gives me a slope of 4. The nice thing about using this formula is it will tell you whether the slope is positive or negative, whereas up on the graphs, you had to pay attention to the direction it was going. So m is equal to 4, and then I need to find my y-intercept. Well, guess what? They gave me the y-intercept right here. Anytime I have a coordinate point 0, comma something, that something is my y-intercept. And the reason is because if you think about where your y-intercept is, it's where it crosses your y-axis. Your x value was always 0 at that point. So that means my equation is y is equal to 4x minus 7. All right, go ahead and try number 14. All right, so I'm going to label them as x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I'll find my slope. So y2 minus my y1 over x2 minus my x1 gives me 1/4. It gave me my y-intercept right here. That's my b. So therefore, my equation is y is equal to 1/4 x plus 2. Okay, on number 15, I have 3, 1, and 8, 4. So I'm going to find my slope first. So I'll label them as x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I use my formula. So 4 minus 1 over 8 minus 3, which means my slope is 3/5. However, it didn't give me b. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so if we don't have b, we have to find it. So here's how we find it. So I'm going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. And I found m, that's 3/5. And I'm going to choose one of my points. It doesn't matter which one. I typically choose the first one, but it makes absolutely no difference. And I'm going to plug that in for my x and my y. So the 1 is my y value. The 3 is my x value. And then I don't know what b is, so I have to find b. Because I have every other thing replaced with a number, there's no more variables, I can solve that equation now for b. So this gives me 9/5. And so to get b by itself, I'd subtract 9/5 from both sides. And when I do that, I get b is equal to -4/5. So now I have m and I have b, so my final equation is just y equals 3/5 x minus 4/5. So your goal is to find m and to find b. Once you have both of those, you are done. And sorry about the way this formatted. This should actually be up here at number 18. So I'm just going to cross it out for now so we don't get confused. And let's go ahead and try number 16. So try it, pause the video, come back, and see how you did. So I've got m is equal to my y2 minus my y1. Be careful, it's minus a negative. And then my x2 minus my x1, again, minus a negative. Minus a negative, same thing as plus a positive, which would make this a -1 plus 2, which is 1. This would make this a -4 plus 3, which is a -1. So that means my slope is -1. Okay, so now I've got m. I don't know b. It wasn't given to me, so I'm going to use the equation y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to substitute in. So I know my m is -1, excuse me. And then I pick one of my points. It doesn't matter. I'll just pick the first one. So my x value is -3, my y value is -2, and then I'm solving it for b. So when I simplify this and then get b by itself, I get b is -5. So I know my equation is y is equal to -1x minus 5. If you just have a negative x right here instead of a -1x, same thing. All right, let's do one more like that. So number 17. So I have my two coordinate points. Again, I can label them as x1, y1, x2, y2. Find my slope. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which gives me 4 over 1, which is just 4. They didn't give me b, so I'm going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute the m I found in, and then I just choose one of my points. Again, I typically choose the first point, but it's irrelevant. You could choose whichever one you want. You'll get the same answer. So x is 2 and y is 1. So 4 times 2 is 8, and then to get b by itself, I just need to subtract the 8 over. So I get b is -7, which means my final equation is y is equal to 4x minus 7. Good. Let's see. On to the next one. Number 19. This one looks like it's going to be a lot harder, but guess what? It's exactly the same as what we've done before. They've given it to you in function notation. Function notation, remember, is a fancy way of saying when x is 6, you got the answer of y is -2. So that's just the coordinate point, 6, -2. When you plug in a 4 for x, you got a -3 for y. So that means it's the coordinate point for -3. So go ahead and write which coordinate points you'd have for this one. Okay, so we'd get -5, 5, and we'd get 0, 10. Try writing the coordinate points for number 21. Okay, so we'd get 0, 5, and we get 9, -4. So again, once you have them written as coordinate points, it's exactly the same as before. So let's just do one of these just to make sure we've got it. So I've got the point -5, 5, the point 0, 10. So if I do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, I get m is equal to 5 over 5, which is just 1. And they gave me my y-intercept right here. So my equation is just y is equal to 1x, or just x, and then plus 10. And that's it. Go ahead and take a second and write your summary.